Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ray Orsini with the MSP Media Network. Joining me is Mr. Ranjan Singh, the Chief Product Officer here at Kaseya. We're at Dattocon, Miami at the Intercontinental Hotel. Ranjan, thanks so much for joining me.
How are you doing, sir? Pleasure. Thank you for taking the time.
Absolutely. So you gave a thrilling keynote. You gave a thrilling performance on stage yesterday. I'm going to call it performance because everything here with the noise, the music, the overhead speakers, it feels more like an event at the Kaseya Center we're going to later than it does like a conference, right? So you guys came out with some really amazing announcements. I want to start off with the flex spend, right?
Okay.
Can you describe real quick what the flex spend is?
Yeah. So flex spend is an idea that originated about 3 years ago. General Manager of Unit Trends, Joe Noonan, came up with it. The concept is very simple. Today, MSPs purchase an appliance and they purchase an appliance to back up something on-prem. And their end client decides they want to move that workload to the cloud. Usually an appliance comes with a 3-year commitment or a 5-year commitment because it's a CapEx spend.
Yep.
We want to make sure that the MSP is protected in this case. And we also want to aid the migration of their end customer to the cloud. So flex spend is simply, hey, you purchased an appliance, you can now take that spend and move it to wherever your end client is looking to move there.
So you're protecting their investment while still allowing them to avoid the sunk cost fallacy, letting them migrate to a more productive workflow if they want to move to the cloud.
Absolutely.
And I commented pre-show that this feels like the polar opposite of all the outcry over the Microsoft NCE, where the MSPs took on so much liability, so much risk, and many of them chose to break out Microsoft 365 services. They chose to even have the clients pay it directly because of such risk. This seems the opposite, where you're saying, no, we're going to protect you, we're going to protect your investment, and we're going to continue the journey with you.
Yep.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense to us as well, right? We want to retain the MSPs as our customers. If we don't help them, who will?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so, and we also understand that the market is moving to the cloud. So there needs to be flexibility in spend. The segment adopts whatever happens in the enterprise 5 years ago. We have to facilitate that migration.
And I'm sure, as you know, you still have enterprises today using tape backups. And
yes.
So the on-premise stuff with the on-premise appliances, that's not going to go away anytime soon.
It's not. Brent Torre, in his Future of Backup, he explained that the on-premise stuff is still growing 5 to 10%. So that business is still around.
Especially with so many moving away from public data centers over to private and vice versa, swapping
Exactly.
back and forth. Let me ask you, you said Joe Noonan brought this up 18 months ago and had started, but this feels like a very big launch this year. What's the difference between the inception and today?
Simply, the migration to the cloud, we started seeing this trend happening a lot more than perhaps 18 months ago. So we felt it's more about timing than anything else. The ability to execute has always been there.
Okay.
Through the acquisition of Datto, we acquired a great piece of technology, which is Datto BCDR. And the maintenance of the backup chains, is a key feature. This is not just a commercial thing, this is a technical thing also. So there's some technology embedded within Datto Backup that enables us to execute this.
Speaking of Datto, you brought out the Datto networking products. And it's a sore point right now because there's a lot of MSPs where there's been a lot of hardware shortage for a long time. Other brands like Ubiquiti, beloved by MSPs, myself included, but hardware availability has been hard.
Yep.
And then you guys had purchased OpenMesh, which was also a phenomenal product, then brought over to Datto Networking, and then it kind of, I don't know if it was availability or whatever, it kind of just fell off. And now you guys are going back with a reinvigorated launch on the Datto networking products. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So Datto networking actually was a material part to our acquisition thesis for Datto, right? So we always believed that it is a great piece of technology. It is built for the SMB market. It's not for consumer. It's not for enterprise. So we were always going to, invest in it. As a matter of fact, within 90 days of the acquisition, signed a big check to solve that exact problem, a supply chain, right? So we have plenty of inventory. That inventory is dedicated to the SMB segment.
Okay.
We're not selling to the consumer, we're not selling to the enterprise, and we did it for that reason. So that was one big investment. Second big investment was we launched, brand new switch, an entire portfolio of switches earlier this year. So that was another big investment post-acquisition. We finished the project, if you like, that Datto had started around the Secure Edge, or SASE. We launched that in April of this year. And then we announced a further commitment to launch Managed Power next year. So we believe that networking is a space we must be in. Nothing exists in technology without networking. And more importantly, because our positioning around all of our product, our IT Complete platform, is priced right for this industry, we believe we can make a material difference there.
I know the goal is not to undercut others, it's to provide the value for the equipment you're providing. And I do recall one of Fred Vicola's original interviews right after the Datto announcement was that the hardware side was a major component. Myself included, all of us kind of thought it was the backup. We didn't really believe, nobody thought, oh, they're bringing back networking, that's fantastic. So we'll get into CooperBots in a minute, but a lot of what was talked about on the keynote on Fred's time was the workflow integrations, where Kaseya owns both sides of the integration, having a more meaningful, a deeper impact. Are we going to see that with the networking side?
Oh, absolutely. And actually, it's already available, right?
Okay.
So if you look at between Datto RMM and Datto networking, there's a very, very deep integration that will not exist and does not exist between Datto RMM and Cisco or HP or Ubiquiti. What can you do? Right from inside Datto RMM, you can reboot the ports, you can enable disable ports, you can draw diagnostics, and then if you want to take any type of advanced configuration, you can with one click go straight into the environment, right?
So I want to ask about that. I'm sure you don't know. My background, I'm a CCIE, so networking is my happy place.
Sure.
So one of the challenges with some of the other consumer grade products, so like Ubiquiti, for example, or more on the SMB, MSP networking side, like the Meraki side of it. The challenges are, yes, you have the ability that's easy control, easy deployment, but then when you need advanced configurations, they fall short. They make it honestly impossible.
Okay.
How is Datto Networking approaching that?
So we will gradually keep building what our customers demand of us, right? So today, the first ask was layer 3 switching. So we incorporated that. Now, I'm told that the adoption of layer 3 switching isn't quite there, but we always want to balance what we are charging and the features that we're delivering for it, right? That's the key place. There is always a point at which, depending on the scale, Datto networking may not make sense for the end customer. So we always want to keep playing in this space at a certain segment.
Are we going to see dual PSU, dual power supply, HA sets, maybe single plane with multiple chassis?
Those kinds of things have been asked of us. I would say that it's under consideration. We want to launch Managed Power first. We want to make sure that we ride out the investments we have made, but those things are always under consideration.
I'm sure there's a ceiling where you're kind of crossing over an enterprise at that point.
Exactly.
That's good to know. Okay, so you go from Datto networking, you have the launch. Both yourself and Fred talked about the different categories of platform or of software, right? Whether it's security, whether it's networking, BCDR. Let's get into the security space. You touched a little bit with the SASE launch, right? You also covered you have the SOC as a service. And now you guys have the PCI side with what was formerly Connect Booster. Talk about that, because that's not something that we see a lot of the MSP vendors that play in that space.
Yeah.
Why is that important?
So I'm sure you know this very well. The NIST 2 framework is coming out with governance as a key component. It simply was opportunistic for us because we acquired Connect Booster. We saw PCI compliance in payments as an opportunity. So effectively, it's our first foray into the governance piece.
Okay.
Right? So that's one angle to pursue. We also just saw it as an opportunity to do something else with our Connect Booster acquisition, right? We were doing research all along the way, and we learned that PCI compliance was a big issue. We took the security angle because we feel that governance is going to become bigger. MSPs and the end customers need a cybersecurity framework of sorts. You'll see more from us on that front. I'm sure you know we have Compliance GRC, Compliance Manager as a solution. That enables MSPs and end customers to be able to comply to a whole bunch of standards. We'll start to combine the governance and the security piece this way.
And imagine with pieces like you have Graphis, you have ID Agent, you have Bullfish, and then you have Vanahai, and that's a lot of data going to one place. I can't imagine what something like CooperBot is going to do with all that. So let's talk CooperBot. CooperBot is not a new thing. It's been out for a little bit, but it was announced Cooper had babies, and we have the Cooper pups. What is CooperBot for those that haven't seen it yet?
Actually, we announced Cooper Insights.
Okay.
Cooper Bots is the baby from Cooper.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
So Cooper Insights is a very simple concept. We talk about lack of software utilization as one of the key challenges that we focus on solving for IT Complete, right? And so there is just, as you know, I announced on stage, Fred announced on stage, hundreds and hundreds of integrations, 400 plus new killer features, and customers on average are using 10 to 14 vendors. Kaseya alone is producing 400 plus features and plus integration. You can't keep up with that.
You had a scroll of features announced.
I
it
did.
looked like
And
the Star Wars scroll for a minute.
And that was only a subset.
Wow.
Right? That was only a subset. So the idea was very simple. Cooper Insights is about a couple of things. One, customers are paying good money, partners are paying good money, and we want to drive the software utilization. We want them to use more of our software, right? The analogy I like to give is, I'm a power user of Microsoft Excel and PowerPoint. I barely use 5% of its capabilities.
Right.
If I go and capitalize a sentence inside PowerPoint 10 times a day, Microsoft still doesn't tell me there are better shortcuts and things like that for doing it.
Right.
So our focus is first and foremost to drive the utilization of these features. Yes, I can send release notes up the wazoo. I can do product webinars up the wazoo. Does not make a difference.
Are you saying we don't read the manual? Is that what
That's precisely it.
I've been there myself. I get it.
Right. So that was the first challenge to solve for Cooper Insight. The second thing is, if you put aside intelligence and AI for a second, simple if then else statements, right? They say, hey, you haven't run a disaster recovery scenario in the last 90 days. You're using BCDR. Why would you not have run a disaster recovery scenario? You have tickets which have no users assigned inside the PSA. That's going to fall through the cracks. You have contracts that are expiring. So that's the second dimension of Cooper Insights. One is driving software utilization. Two is informing them of simple things that they should be doing, could be doing to protect their business, grow their business. So those are the two main areas where we were driving Cooper Insights.
I love seeing that business insight side of it because, as you know, there's a million things an MSP has to juggle, especially the smaller they are, the solopreneur, 2 or 3 person shop, they have to juggle a lot of things.
Right.
They don't have a lot of free time. They know that this information is important. They know they have to get, understand, we have to do, backup, we have to do regular backups, we have to test our backups, we have to do tabletops, we have to have stack alignment with our clients. The ones that are stack aligned are more profitable. And it's interesting that you guys are focusing so much on that you're developing so much, and it's not, we have a product to sell you. It's not, you need to buy this, or it's at this feature or whatever. It's, we're going to just bring it up to the top. Within, I imagine, Cooper Insights within the same platforms they're using.
That's basically it, yeah.
Okay.
And our strategy is focused around those 4 key challenges. Nowhere do you hear us say that buy our product because it's the best product in the market or it's full featured. It's about being complete, as in you have a complete stack. It's about being integrated so you can drive efficiency. It's about insights and intelligence so your business can do better, you can save money, right? And about limited budgets and trying to tackle that with 30% cheaper than the competition.
Yeah.
So it's all about focusing on driving efficiency, helping the customers grow their business.
So the no-code options, the no-code tools that you guys are building in, is that part of CooperBots, or is that a separate? How does that play in?
Yeah, so that is CooperBots.
Okay.
And so because we've done so many integrations, we've built so many point-to-point integrations, we've developed automation within each of the modules, right? So it's not only, hey, I'll bring IT Glue inside the PSA, I'll enable it to take automated actions, right? Because so we've built a whole bunch of little automation scripts all around the modules. The first simple thing we want to do with CooperBots is tie alerts to triggers, or incoming requests to triggers. And so CooperBots is simply an orchestration engine, if you like to think about it. We have automations sprawled all around IT Complete, and CooperBots, number 1, is your orchestration engine, right? That's part 1. Part 2, where AI comes in, is you have incoming tickets or you have incoming requests, and the vocabulary is small enough for understand, hey, reset my password, resolve this alarm, or set up this configuration. That vocabulary is small enough.
Yeah.
So we can, on behalf of the technician, decide to take automated actions. If we are not certain, or the confidence score is not high, we can simply pop up and say, would you like me to take this action, right? It's simple. We're trying to tackle very, very simple things to save the technicians more time.
It sounds very much, as vendors, we talk about training the MSPs, enabling the MSPs to sell, to make better use of the software. But like you said, they don't attend every webinar, they don't read every product release. But it seems like, but they know that these needs are there. It seems like you're teaching them, and I know this is going to sound punny, you're using IT Complete to teach an MSP to be a complete MSP with all these automations and all these tools and these triggers that they should be doing. It's interesting because in the security world, we'll call that SOAR, right? The automated remediation. We've talked about automation forever, RPA forever. RPA in the enterprise is 10 years old, 15 years old. It's just coming to MSP. Are some of those enterprise insights that Kaseya has, is that kind of coloring and informing how to handle the MSPs?
It in some ways it is. I draw a distinction between robotic process automation and business process automation.
Okay.
Robotic process automation is you're using software tools from 6 or 7 vendors, you carry out 10 steps, and I'm enabling you to automate it. Business process automation, and more particularly focused on, let's say, IT Complete plus the Microsoft ecosystem, is I have a business process that says I must do these things when they have a standard operating procedure for doing this. And if customers are using the IT Complete platform, the vast majority of those actions will fall within the IT Complete platform. So our focus is we'll enable you to automate those actions within IT Complete plus the Microsoft ecosystem. And so that's why we think about it as business process automation.
Let's touch on the Microsoft ecosystem. You guys launched, and I know you know where I'm going with this, the Microsoft 365 management within the platform, within IT Complete. Every MSP is swivel chairing. Every MSP is adding users, adding them to Azure groups, setting security rules, checking security defaults. And obviously the MSP world, very familiar with SIP, right? Cyber Drain Approved Partner Portal. Kelvin, I understand you had a hand in consulting with you guys, but you guys have built this whole thing within the platform. Why was it so important to build that within the platform?
I think you said it. MSPs are using M365 as the cornerstone of their business. They're moving to Azure and they're moving to Azure AD. And it's painful, it's very painful. MSPs have hundreds of tenants. And we feel that RMM is the best place to manage not only the endpoints, but the end users as well. You can drive all these automations. RMM has built-in automation scripting, right? So it's a natural place to be able to automate and expand towards the M365 space. So that's really the genesis of it. We are, let's say, crawl, walk, run. We are just beginning. There's so much to do within the M365 space. We are taking basic steps and enabling user onboarding, password resets. We'll start there.
There you go. So I know Azure is a monster all on its own. Are we going to start to see more cloud management?
We will. A little bit further out. We, as part of our unified RMM vision, being able to manage Azure AD instances, Azure virtual desktop servers in the cloud, that is all part of our roadmap. It's going to start showing up, I would say, in January on VSA 10 and not long after in Datto RMM.
Excellent. So I want to finish this with going a little future looking.
Okay.
All right. You cover all these areas where IT Complete is taking care of the whole picture of the MSP. What's missing in your opinion? What are we not looking at yet? What's missing from IT Complete?
Well, first of all, the challenges that MSPs face in the marketplace continues to grow. There's new security challenges, etc. So invariably, there will be some new problems that me and my team and Fred will discover during the course of the next 6 months, and we'll think about, hey, organic growth or acquisitions, like those things come up. The big opportunity that I see is a overused term called big data, right? So we have 39 plus modules. If you happen to be an MSP that's using 15, 20 of our modules, we have tons of data. That data is not correlated across modules. We believe we can help you drive your business further. we believe we can help you drive further efficiency by analyzing that data. What does that look like? I don't quite know yet. What we think about first is big data is great, AI is great. Can you do it cost effectively?
Right.
Right? I can accumulate the data and blow out our costs and we won't be able to deliver.
No, there's a lot of noise,
Right,
right? Anybody
right.
who's tried to do their own SOC realizes really quick that
Exactly.
SIM fills up fast.
That's exactly right. So I feel that we can do two things. One, if we can find a cost-effective way to gather this data and generate insights, that'll be the next thing inside CooperBots.
Okay.
The second thing we can do is, today, technicians and engineers sit in front of software tools and click on menu items.
Yeah.
If we can do those clicks on their behalf, we're making them that much more efficient. So the other incarnation of CooperBot and AI will be CooperBots showing up inside each module where it makes sense to automate actions. So you don't have to drive the UI with a mouse or human, we can drive those actions.
Feels very reminiscent of Clippy. Are we? I mean, you know, at the risk of resurrecting Clippy from the dead, did you guys make that connection at any point? Like, these are the missteps Clippy made. Maybe we need to avoid this.
Well, Fred has been very vocal that Cooper Insights and CooperBots is nothing like Clippy, right? It's inobtrusive, it's out of your way, and it's generating insights if you want to use them, right? So.
That was a big thing I noticed yesterday was you had the ability to turn this off per module.
Yeah.
The reason that struck me was in this world, like you mentioned, security, in this world of there's so much risk, there's so much attack surface. We have had AI incidents, all right? We had OpenAI that was actively breached. We had Microsoft AI that was leaked incident due to security permissions. How are you guys protecting that data, or how are you advising MSPs?
Yeah, so first of all, we approach it very cautiously, right? The use of AI within our products is approached very, very cautiously. We're not jumping because I know it's a great marketing tool, you can sell a lot of product. We are approaching it very cautiously. Even the automated actions that I talked about in Rocket Cyber or inside EDR. Number one, we do a lot of research with our customers, and only the safest actions that you would deem, those are the only ones we're surfacing. For the rest, it's optional, customer enabled. We will prompt them 5 times before we take any actions. And that's really how we're approaching this whole thing.
Excellent. Ranjan, thank you so much for joining me. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Guys, check out Ranjan. Check out the rest of our coverage for Kaseya Dattocon here at Miami, Florida. Today is the last day. We'll be finishing at the Kaseya Center at 7 o'clock. And we were promised a big surprise guest, so I'm very excited for it. Thanks so much for joining. We will leave Ranjan's contact information in the show notes below, along with some of the announcements from this Dattocon. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.
This has been a broadcast of the MSP Media Network.